Number 1, it is the holy grail for the young lions of the Star Mazda Championship. Rafael Mattos knows that feeling after a season-opening win at Sebring. Now in Atlanta, he finds himself chasing Scott Jenkins, who set a new track record in qualifying. Can Jenkins hold on to number 1, or will Mattos celebrate again? Welcome to Road Atlanta for the Grand Prix of Atlanta. This is round 2 of 12 for the Star Mazda Championship, presented by Goodyear. While the drivers are making their way to their cars, some are getting strapped in, and we're close to the start. Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Shaheen, alongside championship road racer and longtime analyst for the Star Mazda Championship Series, Johnny O'Connell. Now, before we get into talking about round 2 here today at Road Atlanta, let's talk a little bit about round 1 at Sebring, Johnny, where Rafael Mattos just decimated the field. How impressed were you with his performance?
You know, I was very impressed. You know, last year when I watched him and he was running for Richie Hearn, you could see the guy was awfully gifted. And I think this year, you know, he's changed teams. He's you know, revamped his program a little bit. And, you know, all season long, he was training and thinking about one thing, and that's dominating the series. It showed in the first round, and I think as the season progresses, his competitors are going to have a lot to deal with this whole season.
Rafael Mattos set a track record on Friday, but could only qualify 5th this morning. The third member of our broadcast crew, Shannon Spake, is with him.
All right, Rafael Mattos, you dominated at Sebring. What has happened this morning, starting 5th in the grid?
Well, actually, we had a pretty good speed during the weekend. We're quickest every session. Unfortunately, we had some issues during qualify, but the car was quick. I knew that, and they fixed. Those guys did a great job. They fixed the car. I'm sure the car will be really, really fast during the race, and just want to get a clean start, try to pass those guys, and try to, you know, bring another victory.
What kind of issues did you have in qualifying?
We had some issues with the engine, but it was pretty easy to fix it, and I'm sure the car is good.
Scott Jenkins one-upped him and beat Mattos' track record while taking the pole, and Shannon is now standing by with him.
Scott Jenkins sitting on the pole for today's race. You had a little bit of problems at Sebring. How is coming to this race, beating the racetrack time this morning, or how excited are you going into this race?
Well, this qualifying session was unbelievable. It was a very good qualifying time for us. It surprised me. But coming from Sebring, this means a lot for the team. You know, all the hard work, the testing we've had in between. You know, we haven't doubted ourselves. We just had to find it, and I think we found a good chunk of it right now. But we're still going. The pole's great, but, you know, a win means that much better. So
it was a little chilly this morning for qualifying. Have you guys made any adjustments to the car for the warm weather?
We've made a few minor adjustments, but the overall balance on the car is very good. I feel that it's going to be very, very strong towards the end of the race, and that's what counts around here. We're going to go out, get a gap, and try to run with it. Thank you.
Johnny, sure looks like these guys are quick this weekend.
Oh, real fast. Very impressed with Jenkins, but Mattos, even though he's 5th, look for him in the race.
Well, the tension starting to build in the drivers as they get ever so close to the start. Matt Jaskell, 2nd at Sebring. Can he improve by 1 position this weekend? And how about Graham Rahal, 3rd at Sebring, looking to get himself farther up the podium. And Marco Andretti, recent winner of an IRL Development Series event, looking to do the same here. Jenkins will lead them all to the green in just a few minutes. And Rafael Mattos, the Sebring winner. The start is coming up. Team Channel's coverage of the Star Mazda Championship, presented by Goodyear, is brought to you by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. The cars are out on the track, and we're getting set for the start of the Star Mazda Championship, presented by Goodyear. Here's a look at our starting field. On the pole, Scott Jenkins with Ryan Justice right there with him. Mark Wilkins and Matt Jaskell will make up the 2nd row, and Rafael Mattos right there. But look at 8 and 9, Graham Rahal and Marco Andretti.
You know, neat to see those two names together, but I mean, right now, with as fast as Jenkins was this morning, the rest of the field has to be worried, and they have to be concentrating not to let him get away at that start, because if he does, it could be game over.
Keys to winning on this racetrack, Johnny, it's right here in your backyard.
Probably not the best guy to ask. I mean, in all my years running here, I've only won one Petite Le Mans, but finished 2nd a lot, so I'm better at that. But really, you know, any race, you got to be quick, keep your head down, stay out of trouble. You know, think about the whole race and not just the individual battles that you get in, and just keep yourself close enough to the leaders.
All the way back, a field of 42 cars here today. Trouble on the racetrack for Mark Patterson in the 73. Maybe just cold tires, Johnny?
You know, it could be cold tires. I don't know where on the racetrack that is, but as we look at Road Atlanta, what you see is one of America's best racetracks. You know, what we have is a very fast turn 1, 2, 3. Through the S's, you're not going to see a whole lot of passing down there through 5. But if you get a great exit out of 5, you can pass somebody going into 6, down the long back straightaway. Always a lot of good passing going on there because of the draft.
And actually, turn 6, I think, is where Patterson might have gone off course, but he is going again, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up to the field. Here's our onboards. Doug Peterson on the 87, starting back in 32nd. Mickey Gilbert going to try to make his way to the front from 23rd. David Stover a little bit farther up in the field in 19th, giving us this view. And Pablo Donoso is starting 10th.
You know, and that view from Pablo really gives you an idea of what it's like when you're closer to the front of the grid. And it's going to be neat to see if there's any gamesmanship going on at the front with Jenkins, whether or not he comes down the hill hard or whether he holds him back. It looks like he's holding him back.
Here we come to the start. Green flag, and we're racing in Road Atlanta. Fanning out, 4, 5 wide to a very tricky turn 1.
Oh, boy, everybody doing a real nice job right there. It looked like Justice got the start, and one of the reasons I think he did that was because Jenkins made the start slow. A lot of times you do that, the guy on the outside of you can get a better run going into turn 1.
Still doubled up deep into the field.
Always dicey coming down through these S's here. You know, turns 3, 4, 5. You know, I kind of look at that area as being ricochet alley, as if you start, you know, have a problem and spin out, you're just going to ricochet from one side to the other, but it looks like everybody's got through clean.
On board, Pablo Donoso. Started in 10th. Oh, we got trouble. One off already.
I'm not sure. That might be Dan Whalen. And,
yep, it is.
You know, he's been a regular with the series for a long time, and that's exiting turn 5. You don't know whether he got up on the curb. It doesn't look like he hurt the car too much. He did get the wall a little bit, but Dan's up and going again, and he's been a great supporter of the series for a long time.
Could be a big part of that close-knit racing that you were talking about back there.
Very much so, and again, cold tires. Remember, you know, when these guys set these cars up, and yeah, he's got a little suspension damage right there.
Oh, it looks like he just lost it, Johnny.
You know, it's so easy, Ralph. You know, again, this Renaissance engine, you know, 2-rotor, a lot of horsepower, and especially on these early laps, you have enough, you know, horsepower to break the tires loose, and that's really what, you know, it looks like happened to Dan.
Everybody in the series, of course, runs the Goodyear tires. Johnny, how many laps will it take as we watch this battle for second between Jenkins and Jaskol to get the heat up in these tires?
You know, again, you're probably looking, as we look at a pass going on in a turn 1, perfectly done by Jenkins. Beautiful outbraking maneuver there. But again, you know, you're looking at about 2 or 3 laps. Now, one of the things your past champions have always been good at is going fast on cold tires. We saw it last year with Michael McDowell winning the championship. He won so many races in the early laps. Right now, that's what these guys at the front are really focusing on, is being as clean and aggressive as they can on their cold tires. But you're looking at about 2 or 3 laps before they really come up to their operating temperature.
Leader checking the mirrors to see who's behind him. You see the 70 of Matt Jaskol, the white with the blue. There's the 96, Wilkins, out of Toronto, Canada.
Wilkins doing a very nice job staying this close to the front. Again, you know, he's practiced well and all that, but again, he's up there with guys that do have a lot more experience.
Oh, that's got some serious damage. The 28 machine, Robbie Montanola.
And that is a big one. I don't know what happened right there.
Let's take a look at it.
As going through turn 7, you just see the end of it right there. And you know what? That's going into turn 7. And the only way a car is going to get upset and get into a position where it's going to flip in turn 7 if wheels are touching. So obviously a couple guys got together, and with these open wheel cars, if you interlock those wheels, boy, somebody's going for a ride.
You're on board with Pablo Donoso and his famous 2 different colors of gloves, and he's chasing Mattos right in front of him, who's dropped all the way back to 8th.
Don't know whether that's an engine problem he referred to earlier that they had in qualifying. On board Gilbert, you know, right there was a perfect example of the draft. You could see him just accelerating right by so easily. These cars do tow each other, and again, that's one of the things about Road Atlanta that really lends itself to Star Mazda racing.
And look at this battle here between Billy Johnson and Brian Thien, side by side. Johnson's in the yellow 45 on the inside, and he takes the spot.
Beautifully done, and again, you saw, oh, look at this on the inside going into 1.
Gilbert drafting up the inside, completes the pass. Nicely done. Well, that's just some of the action that'll give the crew members heart attacks. Great racing for us. Stay with us. Atlanta, the Star Mazda Championship presented by Goodyear. This is round 2 of 12. The drivers competing for a $100,000 check to the champion along with a brand new Mazda RX-8. Not a bad deal. Taking a look at the top 4 battling here on this 2.54-mile course. The number 38 is your race leader. That is Ryan Justice out of Portland, Oregon. He grabbed the lead at the start and has held on to it ever since. Change for third.
Oh, Wilkins taking a look at the inside, doesn't quite get it done. But you know what? Every time a guy does that, Ralph, it causes the guy in front of you to take a peek in his mirrors and draws his concentration behind you rather in front of you. So, one of the things Wilkins got to be doing is throwing those fakes in there, even if he doesn't think the move's going to work.
Down to turn 1. A lot of speed carried through there.
Such a fast corner. I mean, for these guys are probably just dropping down 1 gear. Again, it's all about momentum. Look like Wilkins is slowing down there.
A puff of smoke out of the back of the number 96.
Pulling off. Bad break. You know what? I wonder whether or not he didn't have a gearbox issue or something like that. I mean, these engines, so rare for them to ever have a problem. Gearboxes, that's more likely, and that would be going into turn 1. He might have missed a down change and broke a gearbox.
Running that 2-rotor Renesis engine, the same motor you find in the RX-8. Nice little belch of flame out of the back of our leader.
Doing a beautiful job up there at the front.
The Northwest Autosports number 38.
Justice is no stranger to leading races. He's been one of them, America's top open-wheel drivers for quite some time. Jenkins, running behind him, though, he knows he had the fastest car this morning and really has a lot to prove. He's another one of these young gunfighters that is thinking, Star Mazda Championship Racing is their next opportunity to prove to the world what they can do. And right now we're seeing so many different drivers that have graduated out of this series enjoy success in the American Le Mans Series and other series around the country and the world. And so these cats, they know they're under the microscope and really wanting to put on a show.
There you see the 46. That's Luis Chiavo out of Caracas, Venezuela. And there's the number 12 of Graham Rahal, son of the IndyCar champion Bobby Rahal.
And I reckon there's an Andretti somewhere in there. There's Mattos. He's fallen all the way back to 7th. I can only presume that he's had, the engine problem of which he spoke of this morning is holding him back some. And what he's hating is that these guys at the front, guys like Jenkins and Justice, are pulling away from him. Oh, look at him use all the road. And so Mattos, he's got to figure something out to get that car to the front. Hopefully maybe get a yellow or something like that, bunch the field up. That would be to his advantage. But right now, Justin Jenkins are having things their way.
Well, Mattos is actually starting to crawl up a little bit because he had slipped back to 8th, and now he's up to 7th. And we see Jonathan Bomarito in the 16 car out of Monterey, California, just up in front of them, right behind the 46 machine. And we were talking about Luis Chiavo. Here comes a challenge up the inside on Donoso. It's Marco Andretti trying to get up the inside. Outside there, by the time they get to the corner, can't get it done and has to tuck back in. Back to the front we go with some great racing action.
Yeah, that's Jaskol making a move on the inside. Again, sometimes you guys get too close to each other, have to check up, and that allowed Jaskol to get by there. Usually when a pass does take, place exiting turn 12, that's what happened.
Scott Jenkins sits in 3rd, and we'll be right back for more Star Mazda Championship on Speed. Your email and let your opinion be heard. Screaming down the long straightaways on the backside of the racetrack here at Road Atlanta, Ralph Shaheen alongside Johnny O'Connell and Shannon Spake working pit road for us this weekend. Pablo Donoso giving us this view off the backside of his car. You can see how loose Marco Andretti is behind him.
Oh, using the road really well. But again, this shot really shows how much these guys are sliding the cars around. Back end coming out under the power. Watch him going through turn. Oh, wow. Turn 5. And look at that. Andretti got a better run. He's got to take a better shot going down into turn 6. Donoso holding the inside, though, fighting so hard. And we saw that before break, him doing the same thing. Oh, look at Andretti.
Wow, Marco really working that car.
Yeah, but he's got him this time. Oh, you can even see Andretti laying down some strips of rubber off those Goodyear tires coming out of 7. Now watch Donoso. He's just going to stay to his left side of the track as we look at the view here. It's on the right. Doing everything to make Andretti make the pass on the outside going into 10. A very difficult pass to make.
Well, you know, we're watching and we're getting to see how hard Marco Andretti is driving, but we got to give some... Whoa! Wow, look at CR Cruz behind him. You know what? We got to give some props to Pablo Donoso, though, because he's got to be driving every bit as hard to keep them back there.
Well, you know what? It's a huge job trying to keep him back there, and a lot of times that really forces you into mistakes and makes you a whole lot slower than you could actually be. If he were not running a tighter line and just worried so much about Andretti, he might find himself in a position where he could open up that lead.
Well, they're going to do it all over again as they begin another lap. Scheduled for 30 here around Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and as you just saw a glimpse of Donoso going through turn 4 there, he's way wide. I mean, he's really more concerned about Andretti right now, so I would just say it's a matter of laps before Marco's able to get by.
Doug Peterson now providing the camera work as he sits in 25th. There's Donoso. Eliseo Salazar, the great Chilean sports car star, working with Donoso.
All right, now Andretti got a better run out of 7 that time, and what he wants to do is make a move. Oh, he's going left. See, I might have thrown a fake and tried to get him on the right, but Andretti this time might have enough momentum to get in front of him and now squeeze him a little bit left. Yeah, look at that. That's how to do it. That's how to do it.
But Donoso should have the advantage here with the inside, and does.
Well, you know, Marco should have just held on a little bit stronger there. But again, remember, he's 17, 18 years old, a young guy, and he's really learning his craft. I mean, when you have the Andretti last name, you think, okay, things are taken for granted, but everybody's learning.
Look at that draft. Marco Andretti up the inside, down the long straightaway to 1. He'll have the inside. Still can't get it done. Well, this is exactly why these drivers are here. This is arguably the best development series for open-wheel racing in the U.S. And Marco Andretti and Pablo Donoso getting a lot of experience here today. Earlier, we talked to Marco Andretti about what it's like growing up with the Andretti heritage.
I don't have a normal relationship with my father or grandfather, but I wish I could remember more, because all I know is what I see on TV, you know, about him, because I wasn't, you know, I knew Grandpa raced cars, but, you know, I didn't know, you know, his great accomplishments until now I look back. It's like, you know, it's pretty unbelievable, and my father too. But, you know, I pretty much don't live a normal life when it comes to that. You know, basically it's more of a business standpoint with my grandfather and father, so we just try to keep it there. At first I went into it for the wrong reason. I wanted to do it, but I felt I had to, which obviously was not the case. You know, they were behind me. No matter what I wanted to do, they were behind me. And, you know, they would support any decision I would have made, but I went in it for the wrong reason, and I wasn't having fun because I just felt that added pressure, so I actually quit for a year, you know, in go-karts. So, and then I sat around and thought about it myself, and they were supporting me quitting. And then I came back to them and said I want to do it because I thought of it, you know, myself. And my dad said, you take care of it, you put everything together, and then, and so I did. Every kid's racing dream is to be in Formula One, but obviously driving for my dad would be pretty awesome as well. But on the other hand, my grandfather drove a bunch of different kind of cars, which is something that I want to do too, a lot of endurance stuff. And it's different nowadays, and it costs a lot more nowadays, so you know, it's different, but I'd like to, you know, not just drive open wheel cars, but even though that's where my heart is.
Well, Marco's got a lot of things down the road that he would like to try, but right now he's trying to figure out how to get around Pablo Donoso.
And he got him right there. He got a really good run out of, yes, stick it, stick it, stick it, yes. Oh. Yeah, I mean, you can see that coming out of 10B. He just got a much better exit, and that allowed him to make the move going into 12. And look at Donoso. Now he's trying to defend the move, but unable to. Oh, man, these guys are running hard.
Oh, Donoso really almost lost the front end there just for a second. And Donoso's going to lose 3 positions.
Oh, and they almost touched tires there. Again, Donoso struggling with a car that might not be working as well as he would have liked. And I mean, 3, 4 positions in the blink of an eye.
And There's Graham Rahal. Mattos has gotten by him now and is going after Schiavo.
There he
comes.
To the outside, and now watch him. He'll drift it a little bit off the line, more to the middle. Nicely done. Now, when a guy like Mattos comes up with you, you saw, that he made that move with a whole bunch more authority. Stuck it, had control and position. But also the competitors are more aware of him, and so they're going to give him a little bit more room.
The intimidation factor developing a little bit. They know Mattos. Ryan Justice continues to lead. They'll be back with the Star Mazda Championship on Speed. Presented by Goodyear is brought to you by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. Welcome back to the Star Mazda Championship presented by Goodyear. You're watching round 2 of 12 from Road Atlanta. 30 laps is the scheduled distance today. We're almost halfway home. Ryan Justice has been out front and dominating this one since the beginning as we watch the battle for 9th. We're going to move back a little bit further and check out the battle for 12th, and cutting to the outside comes the 45 of Billy Johnson, the yellow car.
Again, moving around Donoso there, who's obviously been struggling. I don't know whether it's a gearbox problem, an engine problem. He's been sliding around a lot. But a lot of times you start watching what's going on behind you and worrying about going fast. It's just a recipe for moving to the rear. And we've seen that with Donoso in the past couple of laps, losing 5-6 positions.
How hard is it sometimes to get that rhythm back after you've gone through something like that?
Really hard. I mean, again, race car drivers are you have to be so psychologically fit and strong. And, when you have a situation where you lose 3-4 positions in a lap and then you come by your pits and you're cruising it. But right there you saw Donoso not able to hold that line there. So I'm guessing he's got a whole lot of oversteer in the car, and it's just too hard for him to hang on.
Doug Peterson giving us this look off the back of his car as he sweeps into turn 1. You see how loose the car behind him was.
Again, though, this is going to happen. The fuel load on these cars is burning off a little bit. They're getting a bit lighter. They've been using the rear tires. As the race goes on, you want to often see the cars, especially the cars more towards the back of the pack that aren't as well set up. They're going to be sliding a whole lot more.
Here's a look at the 55 of David Stover. And now we're on board with him. He's up to 18th. Now the cars just in front of him include Jonathan Klein. That's the 26, which is the black car. And just in front of Klein would be Brian Thien's number 77. Real loose right there.
You know what? And you see that happen so often when we go on board with these guys, or you see them and they're having to use the curve coming out of turn 5. The reason is, as you get into turn 5, there's a sealant. And so the front tires go over it, the car slides, you get understeer, but then you get back to the pavement and the front tires grip, and that makes the car go loose.
Well, you see the 77 of Brian Thien. Shannon has more.
So race cars aren't the only thing that Brian Thien's, driver of the number 77 car, puts on the racetrack. He is a registered pilot and has been for the last 18 years. And when he flies out to California to Buttonwillow, he actually lands his plane on the racetrack. Now, he has assured me that he's gotten permission to do this, and he told me he even, every once in a while, does a flyover of the track.
Ever been racing down the front straightaway and had somebody land next to you?
You know what? It's funny that you brought up that story. I started out as a mechanic.
Oh, Donoso! Guess what? He does have handling problems because it went way away from him there.
Oh, and you worry when you pull back out there, but it looks like you got it going. Yeah, I mean, that car had been loose for a long time, and you don't know what happened there, whether he's got a tire going down or whatever, but he'd been struggling forever with that car. And the funny thing is that when you have a car that's oversteery or loose like that, it doesn't get better. All it does is get loose, more and more oversteer as your run goes on. So he's, doing a nice job getting back out there. And but again, there's a guy with his hands full.
Here's a replay.
Oh, man. But a nice job, keeps the engine going. Selects first gear, giddy up, here we go.
Now he's got Mike Anderson behind him. Okay, get back to the story about the airplane. I got to hear this.
You know what? I'm working as a mechanic at one of the racing schools at Riverside, California, and Bobby Allison landed his airplane on the back straightaway, which meant flying underneath one of the bridges.
BA could fly anywhere, couldn't he? Great story. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back for more. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. only on Speed. Welcome back to Road Atlanta, and we've got a new leader. Scott Jenkins, the pole sitter, has gotten around Ryan Justice to reclaim the number 1 slot here at Road Atlanta in round 2 of the Star Mazda Championship.
And right now what Jenkins is going to be doing is keeping his head down. Okay, as we see, using the draft, going into turn 10, goes to the outside. He just got such a good slingshot there. You can see several, wheels ahead of him already. They get to the braking zone. It's game over. But then again, that is the classic draft. Using it to your advantage, getting in front of your competitor, there's nothing he can do. But what he's got to do now, Jenkins, is keep his head down and do what my crew chief always tells me. Hit your marks. Don't worry about the guy behind you. Try to set fastest laps each lap you go around.
And there's that black car that we were talking about, making his way up through the field. Mattos was all the way back to 8th. And now the black number 7 sits in 4th, Johnny. Can he do it?
You know what? He's looking very impressive. Okay, now Jenkins is probably getting this information about who's behind him, who's coming up. And everybody knows that Mattos, he's back to 8th or 9th, has worked his way up there. So he's got his car working better now. And as this run goes on, look for him to be aggressive. And again, he's got enough time. I mean, he's still got 12 laps. If each time he comes out at turn 7, he comes up behind his competitor, gets a better run on him, he can still make it to the front and win this thing.
Well, it took him about half the distance of this race to get there. He's certainly there and has just under half the race left to go. And maybe he set his car up to be better at the tail end of the day.
Very much possible, but again, I think it's, Mattos is good. He's been doing this for a long time. Making a move going into turn 6 there.
Coming for 3rd. Got it. That was easy. Wow, he didn't even have to work hard for that one.
Defending it going into 7. And again, it's just picking things off one at a time. Now, again, he built up last season, a whole lot of confidence in his abilities. But when he went to Sebring, we saw a different guy, a guy that's setting out to win a championship. And right now, with the runs that he's having, I mean, he's right now the only car on the racetrack consistently passing people. Oh, being a little bit defensive there.
Wow.
Holding on to it, though.
But the thing, Johnny, is you look at his car, it just doesn't seem to be as loose and as squirrely as we've seen some of the other guys. It doesn't look like he's overdriving his car to hold a position or make a position like we saw with Marco Andretti, for example.
He is not, but I think that's also the result of his car being better set up. Again, one of the things that you notice, cars at the front will not be sliding around as much because the guys have tuned their chassis, their dampers a little bit better. They got their ride heights correct. All those little things make such a big difference. Okay, when you go back to the middle of the pack, not only are you seeing generally a little bit difference in driver, but also car setup. These guys at the front, all their cars are probably working pretty evenly right now. But Mattos, again, really has his head down, hitting his marks, not making any mistakes, and right now he's opened up enough of a gap so that I don't have to, I don't think he has to worry about protecting his position this time, on this lap.
You see the 70. Matt Jaskol in 4th, trying to hang on to the backside of Mattos now. He's starting to lose that draft to that pack.
Yeah, and I don't know whether Jaskol, maybe have pushed a little bit too hard and built up tire pressure. Maybe he's going a little bit loose.
Well, there's Graham Rahal in the 12 and the 10 car. Right behind him is C.R. Cruz. And James Hinchcliffe up the inside in that red, white, and blue 98.
Man, side by side, all the way down the straightaway. Now, Cruz definitely is going to have the advantage here going into 10. And holds him back. Coming out. Well, Hinchcliffe going by. I don't know whether Cruz missed a gear there. I don't know whether that was a point or whatever.
Well, Shannon Spake has more on Hinchcliffe.
All right, we all know how important sponsorships are to the world of motorsports. One of the drivers, James Hinchcliffe, number 98, he's actually made light of the fact that he doesn't have a full-time sponsor. Each week on the back of his car, he's going to have a different little saying. This week, it's late breaker. I tried to ask him, give me a little hint on what he's going to have for the next couple of weeks. No good. He will not tell me, so we'll just have to watch and see.
I like that, late breaker.
Yeah, well, we better change that to later breaker. To the front. You look here, Mattos is running 2nd. Now, if I'm Scott Jenkins, this is like the worst thing I want to see in my mirrors. And hear over the radio is that, dude, Mattos is on fire. You got to push, push, push. And because, again, we're still 10 laps to go, and Raphael is feeling real confident. Coming down, again, using that toe, doing it perfectly, swinging out wide into the braking zone, swinging back. you know, again, he's driving with aggressiveness and authority and confidence, and man, that sends a signal to everyone else out there.
Wow, and they're working their way through lap traffic. That's Sean Guthrie in the 41 out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Mattos has cleared him. Started 5th, dropped all the way back. Well, we got one off. Hit 1. Mike Keski, the 69 car, is off.
You know, and that happened right in front of Jenkins. So Jenkins probably had to check up, lose a little bit more of his gap. Now, one of the things Jenkins is worrying about, he knows Mattos is coming hard. He's trying to get through this lap traffic as quickly as he can without making a mistake, knowing that if he gets bogged down a little bit, Mattos is going to be all over him. What he's got to worry about is Mattos getting close enough that Mattos can pick up that draft. If he can, then, man, we are in for a barn burner of a race.
Team Bucknam, Scott Jenkins out of Portland, Oregon, continues to lead, and everybody's watching the clocks, especially Mattos' crew. We're coming right back for more of the Star Mazda Championship presented by Goodyear after this. Back to Road Atlanta for what is developing into a great fight for the lead. Scott Jenkins started on the pole and is leading now, but Rafael Mattos started 5th, fell all the way back to at least 8th, and has worked his way back to 2nd with 8 laps left to go.
He's got time to do it. Now, one of the things that whenever I'm watching this type of situation in open wheel cars, you watch that lead driver and see how often he is checking his mirrors, because that's an indicator of whether he's thinking about just going fast or he's worrying too much about what's behind him. If it's Mattos, I'm probably looking back a lot.
How do you talk yourself into not looking in the mirrors as you watch the battle for 3rd?
You know what? Hopefully you have a good crew chief that's just telling you, dude, you've got to push, you've got to push.
Jaskol to the inside, challenging for 3rd, and Matt Jaskol will get it. Can he hang on?
Trying the counter move there. I don't know whether it carried enough speed out of 12 to make it stick. God, you like seeing that running side by side through 12. Oh, nice save.
Ryan Justice takes the position back, who had led this race. Justice did from the beginning. Didn't start on the pole, but grabbed the lead on lap 1, and now fighting to hang on to 3rd.
You know, and Jaskol just, A, being able to run that wider line as fast as they were going, but B, getting up on the curve, having to save that car. And you see right there, you know, him sliding a little bit. That might be even the result of running wide through turn 12. You pick up some debris on your tires, and it takes you, you know, several corners for your tires to come back where they were initially. Still sweet driving, though.
Working the way towards the backside of the racetrack. This is the fight for 6th position. Schiavo just in front, and Marco Andretti right behind in the yellow car. There's Marco, the 11.
You know, Schiavo, again, he was a champion 2 years ago. I don't think he's been able to get a group of people around him yet to really give him the car that he needs. It actually looks like he's losing a little bit of body work there. The cover over the dampers is gone, so he's losing a little bit of his aero advantage. And you can see him trying to weave down the straightaway so that Marco can't pick up his draft. Marco, you know, obviously after a lap or two is going to figure that move out. But very impressed with Marco. You know, we didn't see a whole lot of him at Sebring, but again, it seems like he's learning these cars, learning the series, and he's really doing a nice job today.
Well, Marco has really put a twinkle back in Grandpa's eyes. Mario very pleased with the development of his grandson, and so, of course, is Marco's dad, Michael. Well, there's that lead battle, and boy, that's building up. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, Johnny O'Connell's still trying to figure that out. However, our leader has a good idea what he wants to do.
When I was younger, you know, I wanted to go through the open wheel route that I am in right now. But to the state of it right now, I just don't see that happening, you know, with my age and everything going. I would love that opportunity, yes, and I think I could do it. But more, I think, with my outside day-to-day jobs, you know, I think that a sports car route is much more in my suiting.
That worked to be a pretty good choice for you, Johnny.
You know, one of the smartest things I did, and as a young guy, you know, if your last name's Andretti or Rahal, okay, you're going to get opportunities presented to you that guys that...
Oh, look at this. Challenge for the lead.
Oh, man, look at Jenkins just brought it in too deep. Oh, Mattos. Really sweetly done. Again, very aggressive, using lap traffic to his advantage. And right now, you know, Scott Jenkins is thinking, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I gave that away. He suckered me in.
Johnny, this was the fake that you were talking about.
Well, again, he got Jenkins to look in his mirrors, lose his marks. Okay, Jenkins locks his front tires, can't make the apex. Again, you've got to worry more about what's in front of you than what's behind you.
Well, if we had a Move of the Race award, that would be it for Rafael Mattos. That was a textbook pass.
Well, it was brilliant. And the thing is, you know, as you come through the field, as you're having a race like he's having, you are building confidence with every lap. And to be able to present himself into that situation, again, going by the lap traffic, making the move so far to the inside, and then still being able to pull it off, that was very impressive driving. Probably the nicest pass we've seen all season long.
Seems to be one of those situations with Rafael Mattos where car and driver have become one. Stay with us. The championship presented by Goodyear. Road Atlanta, where Rafael Mattos has just put on a driving clinic. After falling all the way back to 8th, he is now the leader with 3 to go.
You know, and as we watch him, we want to watch how smooth he is. Again, hitting his marks, being so close to his apexes, next to the curbing, using all the road, not letting the car get loose on him, and you can see he's opened up a sizable gap to Jenkins there. Again, this race is completely his.
Mattos is doing a tremendous job behind the wheel on his own, but of course a lot of it has to come from the preparation of his crew.
I'm racing with Ocean Tom, and they put a great team together. We've got Rick Cameron as an engineer, we've got Mylon Stockton as the crew chief, and they're doing an amazing job. We did a very good preseason, test was good, and I'm sure the car will be very fast right out of the box.
Well, that Ocean Tomo Racing team, Johnny, has done a spectacular job of prepping this machine for him.
They really have. You know, I mentioned it at Sebring, but Ricky Cameron was my crew chief when I won the Atlantic Championship about 1,000 years ago. We got a problem with 74.
That's Phil Seville. And he's out of the car and over the wall.
But getting back to you know, to Mattos, you know, your success is so much determined by the people that you have behind you. You know, and you go to a guy like Rick Cameron or Steve Cameron, they're responsible for the careers of guys like Buddy Rice, Patrick Carpentier. I mean, you can just go through so many guys that have had success in the sport that have been teamed up with these guys, giving them the car and the coaching that they need to learn their craft and win. But the one thing you see with Mattos that all these guys have is confidence with their driving, and right now he's just showing tons of it.
He's trying to get around Dan Tomlin in 3rd right now, and all those things that you're talking about are what makes a Star Mazda Championship presented by Goodyear such a great development series.
Yeah, there's so much to learn at this stage in these guys' careers, but when you get a guy like Mattos, I mean, he's really, you know, again, this is his 2nd year in this series, but he won another, you know, open wheel series previous to this, and, you know, I think this is a guy that, you know, is ready, you know, certainly after this season to make that next move, whether to be in the sports cars or to be in more powerful open wheel stuff.
Well, and of course the great thing too is that this championship runs as a support series on lots of big weekends, so lots of big name car owners get the opportunity to see these drivers in action, and I'm sure a lot of people are taking note of Rafael Mattos, who has just taken the white flag, checks the mirrors one more time. Nobody behind him but a lap car. He's got nothing to worry about. Here's the fight for 2nd, though. Scott Jenkins in the 31 trying to hold off Matt Jaskol for 2nd place, and Ryan Justice has slipped all the way back to 4th now. He was in 3rd.
And Jaskol's got to be pretty pleased with his performance because he lost a little bit of touch to Jenkins earlier. Again, remember from Sebring, he's running for Richie Hearn's team. They don't have all the funding in place yet right now, so he's got to continually get these podium finishes. Him pushing right here and pushing Jenkins is a good thing for that team.
Jenkins' car looked to be a little bit slippery there, Johnny, as it was sliding through some of those corners.
You know, that's because both these guys right now know it's the last lap. They're pushing for everything they have. Go back to Mattos. He's built himself a comfortable lead. But right now, I don't know whether Jaskol's going to be close enough to pick up that toe.
He's trying everything he can to catch him and get into that draft.
Oh, but they got traffic up ahead, and this could play into things.
How deep can you brake? Here comes Mattos. No problems for him.
Oh, blocking going on there. Oh.
Jenkins, same thing. That's how he lost the lead. He overbraked going into that corner. This time he fights it off.
You know, that's one of those ones you might have to go to the videotape to see whether or not there was some serious blocking going on there. But Mattos gets his 2nd win. He's got to be very stoked. Jenkins comes across 2nd. Jaskol 3rd.
No, and Doug Peterson is into the wall right as the checkered flag comes out.
It looks looks like it's the exit of turn 1. Yeah, they're going into turn... Whoa, that's not a good thing. Ooh, not in the... I tell you what, those gravel traps are great. Now, the only thing he really did wrong there is he didn't go down the gearbox. If he'd gone down the gearbox while he was slowing down, he could have got that car to rotate.
Rafael Mattos is the winner here at the Grand Prix of Atlanta. That's 2 wins so far this season out of 2 races for Mattos. Stay with us. Speed Channel's coverage of the Star Mazda Championship presented by Goodyear is brought to you by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. Here's a look at the top 5 where Rafael Mattos is back-to-back winner. Here's Shannon with him.
All right, Rafael Mattos, you really earned that medal today. Tell me how excited you are.
Well, it was really, really hard. I had some issues on the start. I did a mistake on the start, unfortunately. I hit the rev limiter, and I was having some problems with the pit speed limiter during the race. Almost every corner, the pit speed limiter was kicking in, and I was losing all my speed, but I could drive around the problem and could pass those guys and bring the victory again.
All right, despite the problems you're saying you had a great pass for the lead. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had a lap car in front of us, and I think Scott broke a little bit too deep, and I took advantage of that, and that was it.
Well, it looks like the warm weather did you a little good. Earlier this morning in qualifying, you told me the same thing. You said the cold weather, you started it the same way. What are you feeling right now?
It's impossible to describe to you. It's the best feeling in the world.
There's a look at the top 10. Let's head right back down to second place, Scott Jenkins.
Started on the pole, got second place. Tell me what happened in the pass.
The race was great. It was a pretty tired race, I'd have to say. But Rafael was coming from the back of the pack, and he was fast. He was running some times that I don't think I could run. But, we'll take the second place finish from the 8th in Sebring. What an improvement. We'll go testing again probably, and then just move forward. 10 more races left.
And you still have the track record that you got today at qualifying.
Yeah, that stays with the track for another year, and maybe somebody will be at it next year. But that was a pretty tough time. And, I've got to give it to the crew and Bucknam and everybody in the team. What an amazing job we've done, and we'll move forward.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Scott did a great job winning the pole and setting the track record and finishing second. That's a good weekend.
He really did, but what he talked about Mattos ran a lap almost a second quicker than anybody else during that race. The guy was on fire.
And in case you didn't see it there, Jonathan Bomarito moved up to 4th. Let's go meet Matt Jaskol now, 3rd.
Matt Jaskol, you were number 2 at Sebring. You're number 3 today. What does it feel like?
Well, it's never felt good to be the bridesmaid at the first race, and then to come here, we don't know if we're going to continue on. This could be the last race, and to finish 3rd, we're not happy. But about lap 10, we had a chance to win the race. I was just hanging back. Something happened to the car really bad. I started losing the front end, thought something was going to break, and we just pulled in and saw a big 3-inch chunk missing on the front tire. We just blistered the tire. I mean, the team gave me a really good car. I mean, if you see that, to be able to keep the car on the track that whole race and battle with the front, keep it in P3 with a chunk missing out of the front tire. I mean, the guys, Richie Hearn Motorsports, Eagle Air Conditioning, Tim Tyler, they gave me a really good car today to keep it on the track the whole race like that.
And you say this might be your last race. Why is that?
This might be just funding. It's what it comes down to. Everybody's Eagle Air Conditioning, and my parents can't pay for it all the time. That's how junior racing works these days. And we got a few sponsors like Eagle Air and Richie Hearn Motorsports to help me get here. Friedrich Ranch, webfluid.com, just the little people that help me, all the friends and everybody to get me here. And, even though we're in the top 3 in the points still, we'll see if we continue on. But, I just got to thank the Hearn Motorsports guys for giving me this opportunity.
And going out on the podium, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, hopefully Matt can do that, because, look, he sits in second place in the standings, just 12 behind Rafael Mattos, who's having a spectacular year. Our next race will come your way from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Catch it here on Speed Sunday, June 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It was a great one and a